Hey guys, welcome to another episode of AB in the Films. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to do the review like this because my hair is getting really long, and if you're wondering why I haven't gotten a haircut yet, it's because of heavy duty, and I gotta do some more scenes for that before I cut my hair. So yeah, I'm just going to do the review like this. I gotta say, I wasn't planning on doing a review tonight, but in spite of what's happened over the last couple of hours, I have to talk about this movie. I just have to. Now, here's the thing. I wrote on Facebook asking if someone would like to talk about this movie with me. Well, apparently no one wrote back, so I'm guessing not everybody has seen this movie, and if they have seen it, they probably have better things to do. And I understand because they actually have lives, and I don't. So, yeah. Okay, here's the thing with this movie. This movie. This is a movie that isn't supposed to be taken seriously. It's almost, again, I don't know why I keep bringing this up. It's one of those B movies, okay? It's like Twilight. It's horrible, and I can't believe I'm still bringing up Twilight, even though when I did the final Twilight movie, I thought I'd be done with it, but no, it's gonna keep coming back. Anyway, we got a movie called TITANIC II. And I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no. It's not a sequel to James Cameron's movie. It's not. If anything, it's on its own. It's not even a sequel. Okay. I'm sorry, it's just there's so much. And when I tell you the premise of this, if you don't know the premise of this movie, consider yourself lucky if you haven't seen it. But even if you haven't seen it, go check this out. This is a movie where you need your friends, and you need alcohol, and let me tell you, you'll have a kick-ass time watching this movie if you have friends and alcohol. Sadly, I didn't have neither. I had neither of those things watching this, but it was good because I was pretty much doing what Mystery Science Theater does. I was just shouting out stuff at the movie of how incredibly bad it is. This movie is so bad that I literally said to the TV screen, I literally counted at least seven things that are wrong with the movie within the first 2 minutes. And if you can do that to a movie, you can pretty much tell if it's going to be good or bad. But no, you would think the title would be bad, but no. Okay. Let me start talking about this movie, TITANIC II. It's not a sequel. It's the name of the ship. Now, let me tell you how this review actually came about, because I had heard of this movie, but I never actually saw it, because when James Cameron re-released Titanic last year, a lot of TV shows and movies and direct-to-DVD movies were coming out about Titanic, and they just looked ridiculous, and they weren't interesting. Well, this movie came out in 2010. It didn't come out last year. But anyway, so I avoided it. Well, I was on the internet today, and I found a article that said, I can't remember the guy's name, but it said that this billionaire is planning, he's working on blueprints to, this is for real, to design a second Titanic. He's going to make it look exactly like the original Titanic, and it's going to be called Titanic II, and he's hoping it'll get a maiden voyage by 2016. Okay, first of all, anybody with a brain would not go on that. They wouldn't. And if you do go on that, you got balls. You have balls. Because let me tell you, history does repeat itself. Maybe not exactly. I mean, in some ways it kind of does. And, here's the thing. I know I'm getting into really dark territory for what I'm about to say here, but you know what it's like? That's like rebuilding the World Trade Center at ground zero and opening it up on September 11th. Nobody would go in there. Nobody would. So nobody would go on the Titanic. Now, if you want to, that's okay. Because here's the thing. Here's another good example. In spite of what happened with the Carnival cruise ship, I'm sure you've all heard about that in the news. Nobody's going to want to go on a Carnival cruise again. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody's ever going to go on that again. I've been on a Carnival cruise, and it's great. It's awesome. But after that, I don't really know. So anyway, yeah, I've been going on way too long. Okay, here's the movie. listen up, because if you don't know anything about this movie, you'll pretty much decide after I tell you this premise whether or not you'll like this movie or not. The premise is these guys... Now, again, this has nothing to do with the article I read on the internet. It has nothing to do with that. This is a totally different movie. It just happens to have a lot of similarities. But anyway, this guy, I don't remember his name. He's a very bland character, but he's like the Mr. Andrews of this movie. He designed the Titanic II, and he wanted to get it done before the 100th anniversary. So even though this movie came out in 2010, I'm assuming it takes place in April of 2012 because they wanted the ship to be done by the 100th anniversary to set sail. So they get on, and again, let me tell you about the beginning of this movie. The beginning of this movie has, like, literally, the production company of this movie is called The Asylum. And just like Mystery Science Theater, because I'm a huge fan of that, it opens up, it doesn't even have a logo, it just opens up with a title screen and it says The Asylum Presents. And I instantly said to myself, yeah, that's where I'll be going after this movie. Thankfully I wasn't, but that's just the beginning. So it starts off with, previously to this the Mr. Andrews spoof character, there's this guy who goes surfing in Antarctica, I'm guessing, because there's a lot of, like, glaciers and stuff, and he's wearing a swimsuit. Okay, who the hell does that? I don't know if people do that for real, but, I mean, like, nobody would do that in April, even on the Eastern Seaboard, because it takes place in New York, that's where they leave. But who would go to Antarctica? I'm guessing it's Antarctica. Who would go there to surf? What? And I don't think we ever see that character again. I don't know if we do or we don't. I don't know. I was laughing at it. So, back to what I was talking about. We cut back to the Mr. Andrews-like character. He built the ship, and they leave. And the ship leaves, and this is the premise, okay? I cannot believe that they made this. Now, for any of you out there with a brain, try to guess this. The ship leaves on the 100th, it's the second Titanic. It leaves on the exact same weekend when the original Titanic set sail, 100 years ago. The ship obviously sinks in this one. Spoilers. Didn't see that one coming. But what do you think sinks it? If your answer was iceberg, no effing shit. But it's not just that. Guess where the iceberg comes from. It doesn't just appear out of darkness like when the original sank. No. What we have is a CG tsunami. An unbelievably fake CG tsunami. And it pushes the frickin' CG iceberg, coincidentally, at the ship. Out of all places for the ship to be, a CG tsunami pushes a CG iceberg right at the CG Titanic. And that's what makes it sink. Did the people working on this movie give a shit at all? No. No, they don't. And you can clear as hell see this because the acting is horrible. The editing is beyond horrible. The writing is terrible. The CG is... Oh my god. If you thought the CG in Twilight was bad, wait till you see this. This is even worse. And I don't... Here's the thing. It's not a bad movie, but this is seriously... Like halfway into this movie, I started thinking, this movie is going into Ed Wood... like Ed Wood Uwe Boll territory. That's how bad it is. And, like... It rips off James Cameron's Titanic. It rips off the Poseidon Adventure. Like, you can clearly... Like, it's almost like the filmmakers made this movie, and they just discovered CG for the first time. They said, oh, nobody's seen the Poseidon Adventure. They'll buy it. What? Really? Now here's the thing. I'm not really mad at this movie because it's supposed to be bad. It's like The Room. It's every Ed Wood movie, every Uwe Ball movie, well, not every Tommy Wiseau movie. He only made one movie, The Room. It's like Troll 2. It's a B movie. It's supposed to be bad. You're not supposed to take it seriously, okay? And okay. This is where they rip off James Cameron's Titanic, okay? They rip it off by having the Mr. Andrews, like, yeah, I'm calling him the Mr. Andrews guy because he's the guy who built the Titanic II. That's what Mr. Andrews did for the original Titanic. And I don't remember the guy's name. He's so unbelievably bland. And I think he's the director because I know the lead actor from this movie is the director, so I'm guessing this is the guy. Yeah, haven't seen that before. The lead actor is the director of a horrible movie. Tommy Wiseau. So... But I love The Room. I know how bad it is, but I love The Room. Anyway, you know what's shocking? I don't remember his name, and I don't remember the nurse's name, but they're the two main characters of this movie. There's another main character. It's the nurse's father who's in the helicopter. I don't know that guy's name, but he was the head of the foundation from the Susan Ross Foundation from Seinfeld. That guy that George was talking to. He's that guy. I don't remember his name. But these two unbelievably stupid people, the Mr. Andrews guy and the nurse, are horrible actors. I mean, the nurse delivers lines that are so laughable. No emotion. Well, I will say this. She puts a little bit more emotion into this performance than Kristen Stewart does in Twilight. She has a little bit of emotion, but it's horrible. Like, when she's scared... She doesn't have tears in her eyes, okay? If the ship was sinking, I would have tears in my eyes. And if I was trapped in an elevator, I would be scared. She just stands there in the corner with eyes wide and goes, I can't believe we're trapped. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna get out? I'm thinking of Troll 2. They're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my God! Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I'm sure that this movie kind of has a brain cell, but it doesn't. Every shot of the ship, from before they set sail to the very end when it sinks, is CG. They did not build a Titanic. And give James Cameron some credit. He uses CG in the movie Titanic as well. But you know what? He actually built the ship. They built parts of the ship. You see some of it. You see the ship for real. It's really there. Yeah, he's got CGI in there, and it might be believable. I bought it. I knew it was fake, but it looked kind of realistic. The CG in this movie, it's almost like they were animating it, and like halfway through the animation process, they just didn't give a shit. They just said, yeah, throw that in the movie. They'll buy it, even though the animation wasn't finished. That's how bad it is. Like, it's almost like if the animation was on the computer screen and they took the camera and they put it right in front of the computer and zoomed in to cut out the sides of the monitor and they filmed it. That's what it looks like. That's what this freaking animation is. And the waves are fake. The iceberg is a CGI effect, a really shitty CGI effect. The tsunami is bad. The ship isn't there. When the ship hits the iceberg, that's fake. Dude, the special effects in Taboli Flea are more convincing than this. Okay? And this movie did not get theatrically released in theaters, which doesn't surprise me at all. I think it was a direct-to-video release. I don't recall this ever coming into theaters. You know what would be a better sequel? It would be really incredibly stupid. There's this trailer going around on YouTube that I thought was real at the time. Someone took a lot of clips from the Romeo and Juliet version that Leonardo DiCaprio was in, which I had never seen at the time when I saw this fake trailer. But they took clips from that, and they took clips from Titanic and all of the movies DiCaprio was in when he was a lot younger, like from the 90s, and they put it together, and the movie, this fake trailer, it's called Titanic II, To the Surface. They make it so that Jack rises from the dead out of the ice that he froze in when the ship sank. And you know what? Unbelievably stupid, but the trailer looks so real, and I was so pissed when I found out that it was a fake trailer, because I wanted to see that. But it looks like a real trailer. It does. It looks like a real sequel to the James Cameron movie Titanic. It's a fake trailer, but it looks real. If you want to see it, it's on YouTube. It's called just type in Titanic II: The Surface. It's up. It looks like a real movie.